Eccoci, non vi
Eccoci.
preoccupate. Piccolo problema tecnico, però abbiamo risolto tutto. Eccoci qua. Ciao
Ciao
Fede, come
Enzo.
stai?
Bene, bene, dai. Te Enzo, com'è?
Tutto bene, tutto bene. Oggi tanti problemini, però l'importante è esserci,
Ma
quindi
sì.
alla grande.
È
Salutiamo tutti i
venerdì
nostri
poi.
amici. È venerdì 13, ecco perché, ragazzi.
Sì,
Siete coraggiosi a stare qui con noi. Speriamo di superare indenne, dai, il meetup e la serata. C'è già, salutiamo Natale che ci saluta. Scrivete pure dalle città da cui siete collegati. Anche perché, caro Fede, ecco, c'è pure Ignazio che salutiamo. Dopo
Ciao
una
Ignazio.
bella carrellata, 6 puntate più una speciale di Federico, no? Stasera abbiamo un ospite speciale, un ospite internazionale e siamo felicissimi. E quindi faremo tanti di questi meetup, intervallando pure dei talk di Federico con altri ospiti. E se volete pure venire a parlare di Flutter, venite a parlare. Siamo collegati su lo YouTube di The Community Space. E ora mi aspetto che dica una cosa, Federico. Che devono
Spollizza.
fare?
No, ma su tutti i
Spolli-
social, ma soprattutto su YouTube, spollizzate. Spollizzate.
Spolliciate. Esatto, però ecco, salutiamo pure gli amici di Twitter, gli amici di LinkedIn, gli amici di Facebook, siamo collegati su 8 canali, ok? Quindi dai, una serata speciale, una bella ripresa con le nostre attività, con un bel meetup. Vado velocissimamente, presentiamo sia The Community Space, di cui Sviluppatori Flutter fa parte, e poi lascerò la parola così aggiungerà giusto qualcosa di più su Sviluppatori Flutter Federico. Tra l'altro, ecco, Mauro ci scrive: oggi c'è un impegno, però è bellissimo che pure se sono impegnati volete venire qui a dircelo, grande. Quindi non c'è problema, Mauro, recupera. Ecco, c'è pure chi ci saluta, diciamo, in condizioni. Speriamo tutto bene, Natale, perché dice che Natale ci saluta dall'ospedale. In bocca al lupo per tutto. E
Assolutamente.
per chi? Perché ormai ecco, noi vi conosciamo in tanti, partecipate a tanti meetup, però per chi è per la prima volta che segue Sviluppatori Flutter fa parte di una rete di community, un network di community, The Community Space, che ho fondato ormai 3 anni fa e in cui poi mi danno la mano tanti simpatici baldi giovani, più o meno, perché l'età avanza per tutti, tra cui pure
Ah,
Federico.
io rimango
Eh,
giovane.
rimani giovane. Che cos'è The Community Space? È una super lega, chiamiamola così, di community tecniche per sviluppatori e per tecnici, che si caratterizza soprattutto per tantissimi eventi. Trovate il calendario aggiornato sul sito, vengono annunciati, non dico tutti i giorni, ma quasi nuovi eventi. E tra l'altro da 3 mesi a Roma e da un mese a Milano siamo partiti pure con gli incontri fisici, dove non c'è un talk tecnico, ma ci si incontra per bere, mangiare qualcosa e conoscerci dopo tanti meetup, diciamo online. Quindi vi invito a prenotarvi per Roma il 30 maggio. Però presto, dai, saremo a Milano e forse pure dalle parti di Federico, perché Federico poi ce lo dice lui, vabbè, lo spoileriamo, è di Verona, ok? Vi
Abbiamo in
chiedo,
comune con Roma soltanto il
ecco,
Colosseo o
ecco.
l'Arena, ecco.
Esatto. E non aggiungiamo altro. No, scherzi a parte, registratevi nella newsletter per rimanere aggiornati e a tutti gli altri canali. Queste sono un po' le community che trovate. Ecco, questi sono i baldi giovani. Spero pure che presto ci sia qualche, diciamo, ragazza ad aiutarci con The Communities Bay. Quindi torno indietro però e faccio clic su Sviluppatori Flutter, perché qui trovate sia il prossimo evento che quello di oggi e i prossimi eventi quando li pubblicheremo, ma anche tutti i precedenti che ha portato avanti Federico. E la community appunto abbiamo fondato forse 1 anno e mezzo fa, un po' più di un anno fa, e ora lascio la parola a Federico se vuole aggiungere qualcosa su Sviluppatori Flutter.
Sì, appunto, come diceva Enzo, è nata, diciamo, dopo, penso, tante chiamate che ci siamo fatti, insomma, in merito proprio a questa tecnologia, no? Che pian pianino sta prendendo sempre più piede. Tra l'altro, notizia fresca fresca, siamo alla versione 3 annunciata al Google I.O. e l'anno scorso è stata rilasciata la 2, quindi insomma vedo che sta prendendo sempre più piede ed è molto apprezzata, ecco. Quindi, diciamo, partendo un po' come pionieri, ecco, no? Ha detto, perché non fare una community? Perché non parlare di questa tecnologia? E quindi insomma siamo partiti, no? Quindi con questo mini corso, che poi in realtà è durato tutto l'anno, su Flutter, sui rudimenti, insomma le basi di Flutter e sul linguaggio di programmazione Dart, ecco. E quindi insomma poi abbiamo i vari gruppi su LinkedIn, su Facebook, dove se avete domande, dubbi, insomma troverete anche altre persone che vi potranno rispondere o aiutare. Insomma, io di solito sono abbastanza presente e cerco di rispondere in termini abbastanza brevi, se la risposta la conosco. Se non la conosco, magari provo a rimandare a qualche articolo o la documentazione che ho
Vabbè,
letto.
dai, finora hai risposto sempre a tutto e pure subito, quindi...
Ecco, quindi però stasera un argomento abbastanza caldo, devo dire, perché finora quando abbiamo parlato di state manager abbiamo parlato o meglio di gestione dello stato, non di state manager, abbiamo parlato del set state, abbiamo parlato dei provider, e invece stasera tema caldo perché parleremo di BLoC, ma sarà il nostro ospite sicuramente a illuminarci in merito. E insomma, so che in ambito soprattutto enterprise viene tanto utilizzato, quindi se siete qui siete su un buon meetup sicuramente.
Sì, allora assolutamente ricordo le ultime due cose e poi diamo il benvenuto a Marcos e promettiamo, ci taciamo. Tra l'altro switcheremo nel mio pessimo inglese, non mi permetto di giudicare quello di Federico, però nel mio pessimo inglese switchiamo fra poco. Però ecco, scherzi a parte vi ricordo che c'è pure stasera l'attestato di partecipazione, ok? E in più a fine serata dovete stare attenti alle domande di Marcos, perché raccoglieremo nella chat, quindi commentate nella chat che trovate sul canale da cui state seguendo, tutte le domande gliele facciamo alla fine a Marcos. Però poi le domande ve le farà Marcos a voi, perché ci sarà il talk quiz e ben 8 domande, perché Federico di solito sono 5 ma ne pretende 8 Federico. Ci saranno ben 8 domande e mettiamo in palio una licenza JetBrains, che è uno dei partner dei Community Space, una licenza a vita con aggiornamenti per un anno su un prodotto JetBrains. Quindi una bella sfida ci attende lì alla fine. Nel link che ora vi mando ora pure in chat, trovate sia poi i link per l'attestato, sia i link per il talk che si attiverà solo verso la fine del meetup in automatico, ok? Detto questo, io direi 1, 2 3.
3.
Hi Marcos, how
Hi
are you?
Marcos.
Hey guys, how are you?
Well.
All fine, all fine, all fine. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Allora, then I share your screen
Okay, cool.
and have a good meetup.
Good
Thanks.
luck, Marcos.
Good
Thank
luck.
Okay, well, hello. Welcome to another state management talk. This one is aimed to beginners and experienced developer who have some kind of experience with state management with Flutter. It can be with any package or any custom implementation you have, or it's also if you're evaluating a new approach for state management, because some people just like plain simple change notifier, for example. Today I'm gonna show you how to implement the block pattern with Flutter block, and I think it's gonna be a good approach for your next project. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, so who am I? I'm an engineer and an open sourcer, we like to call, at Very Good Ventures. We are the company behind some of the, if you've seen Google I.O., we are the company that made the I.O. pinball, or that's the most recent one, or the I.O. photo booth. So yeah, that's what we do. Also, we maintain the blog library. So I'm gonna basically talk about the package that we have to maintain in-house. So yeah, I'm an organizer at communities like GDG Managua, and I founded my Flutter meetup in my country. If you wanna learn more about my content or reach out in some social network, you can reach me out on GitHub, Twitter, and I also have a website. You just go marcosevilla.dev, and I have a YouTube channel. Federico told me you guys are kind of good with Spanish, or at least understand it a bit. So most of my YouTube content is on Spanish. So yeah, hopefully you will understand that. So yeah, I want to start with the concepts you need to understand for this whole topic, some key concepts, and that way you will avoid the common mistakes when you're implementing your state management solution. You can actually make mistakes even if you're selecting a good package for this. So I want to get this out of the way so you can have like the best approach for this. First of all, state as a concept is the value of the variables that make your app work in a specific moment. So this means that if you have a widget in Flutter that depends on a value, like, I don't know, maybe a color, I don't know, a string for a text or something like that, this variable represents the state of that widget. I mean, widgets are just like placeholders that we fill up with properties or variables, and that's called state for them. Because if we build another widget based on another state, we're going to have a different outcome. So yeah, we like to say, if you go to the official docs for Flutter, we like to say that the UI are the elements on the screen. Probably you all know that. But yeah, basically the UI, it's a function of the state. If you're familiar with math, basically the function is the build method of each widget, and the state passes for in that build method and then renders the elements on the screen. So we have, for example, a screen that has a percentage of, I don't know, brightness in this case. So we have 55%, it's the state, the actual value of the variable, and our UI renders based on that value and actually paints that value on screen. So that's usually an oversimplification of an example for state. But yeah, it's basically what we can see. Another example can be the classic example of the theme on your app. Basically, all the widgets that are built on the whole app are rendered based on the state of the app theme. And I don't know, maybe you can have two possible values for that state that can be dark or light. And based on the user interactions with the UI, that state can change. I mean, you can click a button or maybe slide. For example, the one on the picture, you can slide the slider, and that's gonna change the value, and our business logic, our state needs to change. But I'm gonna go through that in a bit. So yeah, one of the critical problems with state is to know what its value is in a determined moment. So a state needs to be predictable. We need to know what's the state in, I don't know, maybe a flow in our app, or maybe in a specific stage of our app. So yeah, our state management approach must be robust in terms of the state changes to avoid not so pleasant surprises. Like, I don't know, maybe we don't handle the type of the state in some part of the app, and it's gonna crash or something like that. So yeah, that's an important aspect of the state. Now that you know what is state, I'm sure you've heard that Flutter is reactive by default. So what does that mean? basically, that means that Flutter widgets can update their changes or property values, I mean state, by calling again their build method and representing these changes in the user interface. So widgets can do this only if there's a trigger for this change to happen. And that's what we often see as the set state function in stateful widgets. Talking about stateful widgets, this need to add the variables to their private states. I don't know if you've seen, but the state class on a stateful widgets, it's private, so none of the other classes that are not on that file are going to be able to access that. And we often want to share that state between widgets that can be far from each other in the widget tree. So they're not fit to fulfill our goal to like have a general approach to state management. So that's why stateful widgets came short most of the time. So to be able to share different states, we need to extract that state component into a new layer. And that's one of my favorite topics, like app architecture and how to differentiate those layers. But yeah, basically that layer that we need to have our logic in, it's called business logic. And there we have something called business logic components that we need to implement reactivity in them to change their current state. So we want to be able to change the properties in that component so we can like propagate those changes in the whole widget tree, as you can see with the catalog here, that actually needs to go to the cart, and then the item on the cart, now it's part of the state of the cart. So yeah, that's gonna be something we need to have on our state management approach. Oh, and we often call those components blocks, but I'm gonna go, we'll talk about those later. Okay, so we know that we need the reactive components, but we still need a way to interact with them through the UI. It's not like we can access those from each part of our UI without having a proper mechanism to do that. So to achieve that, there are many different patterns that we can follow based on our dependency injection approach. That's going to be the following aspect. And there's also a pattern called service locator, which is implemented by packages like Get It, if you've seen that. But yeah, I'm going to talk about specifically dependency injection and how we can achieve dependency injection. So business logic components are injected based on the widgets that depend on it. So we need to see where our data is used. Who needs our data? So it can be many widgets or it can be some widgets. In that case, we like to call that app state. It's like a state that is shared between features on our app, and also like you can access state from one feature to another, so it comes to be like an app, a general app state. So yeah, so we want to inject those when they're instantiated right above where they're used, because we want to lazy load our business logic components via dependency injection. So we need a tool that actually injects those when they're used and not instantiate them when they're not in use. And it's like we're like leaking resources from our app by creating components that are not being used. So yeah, if your data is needed by many or some widgets, you can define that state as an app state or specific to a feature. Otherwise, if you have only one widget that uses that, it can be an ephemeral state that it's part of a stateful widget, for example. It's a private state, basically. Okay, so I have an article about dependency injection in my personal website, so you can check my suggestion on how to implement dependency injection in a clean and testable way. And also I have another article that's actually the volume, the 10th volume of my series, I think, that is actually about state and UI. So yeah, but now we are gonna talk about the BLoC pattern. So the BLoC pattern was introduced in 2018 as a way to separate business logic from user interfaces. And it actually was, showcased with an implementation based on streams, but it can be implemented with another reactive approach, such as state notifier, as I mentioned earlier. And also, change notifier comes baked into the Flutter SDK, so it's easier to not have any dependencies for this. But I'm actually, I try to keep my business logic outside Flutter. So as it's not related to the UI, it shouldn't be any dependencies on Flutter. It should be pure Dart. So yeah, that's a thing to know. And usually we want those business logic components or blocks. We want to receive events that happen in our UI, like I don't know, the change of a slider, press of a button. All those events are gonna be added to our block, and then our block, it's gonna process that event with the values that it contains, and based on that event, it's gonna emit a new state, and the UI is gonna re-render, and we're gonna see the change. That's basically how the BLoC pattern should be implemented. But yeah, let's talk about how everything comes together, because we mentioned those key concepts, but we actually haven't seen them like coming together. So no matter what the solution to state management you implement, you're always gonna have these three concepts hanging around in your implementation. But I want you to know a very important thing: how each of the implementations known in the Flutter community bring together. Also, they can be compatible with each other. I mean, if you have the get-it package and you implement the service locator pattern, you can use the BLoC to actually the actual package, the BLoC package. You can not depend on Flutter BLoC. That's the library's choice to implement dependency injection. And you can go only with the BLoC package and then use it with get-it, for example. I don't recommend that, but that's possible. I mean, I don't recommend that because that's not the way we do things at the BLoC library. But yeah, that's one of the things you can achieve. And you can also like use another package for dependency injection. One of the popular ones is Riverpod. So you can use Riverpod with BLoC and it can actually work. So yeah. Okay, so this is an interesting graph I actually put up together yesterday because I wanted to show that up. Basically, the approaches that are recommended are in a I don't know, like are in the same line, and the approaches that can be used together are on diagonal. So basically, let's take provider, for example. That's basically the most popular approach for dependency injection. That package is pretty much compatible with every reactive component out there because it's used as dependency injection tool through inherited widget. And when you go for a state management approach, you will need to decide your dependency injection approach too. So then you're gonna select the reactive component implementation. In this case, the top ones are the dependency injection / service locator approach, like get-it, like Riverpod, like provider. And then we have the reactive components. We have Flutter command, That's the recommended reactive library to work with the edit, for example. We have Riverpod that actually recommends to use state notifier as your reactive approach. And we have Flutter BLoC in the end that actually uses provider with BLoC to implement the state management approach. If you go for provider and state notifier, you're gonna have to use another approach that's called Flutter state notifier. Basically, that's the way provider uses state notifier to actually implement state management. And also, a friend of mine from the community implemented a package that is called RiverBlock, and RiverBlock actually uses Riverpod for dependency injection. The core of Riverpod, not exactly like Flutter Riverpod, that's the implementation with state notifier. And basically, Riverpod acts like the dependency injection tool, and then BLoC as the reactive approach, and you have like a really good complement for that. But yeah, those are basically some of my options. I don't actually use Getit, but I wanted to like just be clear because I see a lot of people from the community that uses Getit with BLoC, and they actually don't know that Flutter BLoC has its own dependency injection implementation. So yeah, just to note. Okay, so implementing BLoC. I'm not gonna go through why use Flutter BLoC for state management. One of my teammates at Very Good Ventures has a really great article about that decision, so you can go to the Very Good Ventures blog to see about that. But instead, I'm gonna go through the core aspects of the BLoC library while mentioning some of the best practices around it, or some of the like I don't know, like controversial things in the community to use BLoC. So yeah, we are gonna start with the anatomy of a BLoC. It is structured in 3 parts: the BLoC, its events, and its state. So an event is basically an action that will be added to the BLoC to be processed. And they come up like classes that represent something that happened in our app that is gonna produce a state chain. As I mentioned before, it can be a button press. It can be, I don't know, maybe another kind of event. Another block can also be affecting, triggering another event on another block. So it can be basically anything that happens in our UI layer. So yeah, and our state, based on what we mentioned earlier, is the current value the block has at the moment. And in an app state, for example, you can have 2 possible states that are both app state, but actually they represent different values. And that is done by creating the possible state as subclasses of the main state, as you can have like app state as the parent class, as a type of class that's gonna be allowed by your, I don't know, like the app block, for example. And you can have 2 subclasses that can be, I don't know, maybe app unauthenticated or app authenticated, and they're gonna represent if there's an authenticated user in your app, or if there's not. So sometimes you will see blocks that have only 1 state class, and that's not a bad practice, not at all. But if you can handle your state, but that's not a bad practice if you can handle your state properties easily, because sometimes we have there's actually a good Dart workshop from the Google I/O that actually goes through an approach called segmented state. And that's basically, you have an initial state, you have a loading state, you have a success state. That means the loading succeed. and you have an error state in case the loading fails. So that is an approach to use with Flutter BLoC, or BLoC in general, that allows you to like have the subclasses with each I don't know, maybe each possibility of the state. So yeah, but in my experience, when you have those in progress states, it's always better to separate the state in those subclasses rather than having a just one class for every possibility, because you end up having too much validations and all of that. So yeah, if you can, go for segmented state. But yeah, and then we have the BLoC. The BLoC is the class that processes the events that are added to it and then emits states based on those events. So events in blocks can be modified by something called event transformers that actually were introduced in the I think it was version 7.2.0, that it was like a intermediate point to migrate to BLoC 8. So yeah, event transformers can apply different behaviors to one specific or many events, as we're gonna see later, based on the business logic that is being implemented. So a BLoC should have dependencies as properties, not state variables. And a state variable can be accessed by using the state getter that has the BLoC class. We're gonna see that. And its type can be validated with a type test operator and something like that. So basically, we don't want to like have state properties in our BLoC, in the class of the BLoC. We just want to access those properties from the state of our BLoC. It's gonna be clear once I go through the live coding, but yeah. This is okay. So this is an example of the thing I was saying earlier. You have the class that is app BLoC. You have the BLoC class that is going to be extended by the app BLoC, and basically you need to specify the event type that is an app event, as the BLoC is, it's called app, and you have the state, and it's going to be called app state. So in this case, we have subclasses that are app unauthenticated for the app state, and app authenticated that has a user variable. So when we define the constructor of our BLoC, basically we're going to define dependencies that we're going to see on the live coding part. And we defined a super constructor. And basically the super constructor, it's going to have our initial state. We want our app BLoC to initiate in unauthenticated. So that's the state we're going to send to super. And then we just define something called event handlers that are going to be like the way we handle each event. So the events are app sign up completed, that it's basically when we log into our account, and it's gonna be the other one, app logout requested, that it's when the user wants to log out from our app. So those two events are gonna be like subclasses from the app event class, and basically based on those events, we're gonna have specific implementations or specific ways to handle those two events that are going to be the two private methods that we see below. So the event handlers have their event type, and they have an emitter class that's going to be the way we emit a new state to the UI. So basically, we just want to like emit that when the app sign up completed event is added to our BLoC, we want to emit that now the app is authenticated. and the event has a user property. So we pass the user property to our app authenticated, and we can access our user from basically whatever part of the app we needed. And also for the logout, we have the app logout requested event, and we just want to emit that it's gonna be unauthenticated again because he's requesting to log out. So yeah, actually this is part of example that I have from one of my repositories. Gonna share the links after the talk. So yeah, and we're gonna go through the cool part about this. We're gonna go to the live coding. I'm gonna stop sharing my slides, and I'm gonna share my actual screen. So yeah, give me a second. Okay, so yeah, I'm sharing my screen right now. Okay, so I have this project that I created. Yeah, fingers crossed, totally. I'm gonna open my VS Code with this application I just created, like I think half an hour ago. Let me know if the font is like really small. But yeah, I basically created this application by using another package that we maintain at BGV that's called the Very Good CLI. I recommend that if you want to like bootstrap a project and have like some like guidelines or functionality baked in. We actually are updating the CLI really often. So yeah, I'm gonna make this a bit bigger. So this is a plain simple app. We're just gonna like go through we're gonna create a block, and we're gonna use a package. We're gonna use like many packages for this. And this is also, if you've seen Google I/O, right now Flutter just released the version 3.0. So yeah, this is using the latest from Flutter. So I really have my fingers crossed. So it's not like we have any issues with that. So yeah, I'm gonna add a new dependency, and I'm gonna add BLoC. We already have BLoC. Yeah, that's one of the things of the CLI. We already have those dependencies. But yeah, I'm gonna add then the connectivity plus package. That's gonna be our BLoC dependency, and basically we want to like just show what are the connectivity changes from the device. I'm gonna throw like airplane mode on the simulator and all of that, so we can actually have those changes. So yeah, now that we have that dependency, I'm gonna replace the counter because we also have a counter, and I'm gonna name that connectivity. Yeah, connectivity. That's gonna be our new feature. So yeah, if you have installed the BLoC extension, you can actually create a BLoC really easy, because you basically just need to right click the connectivity and then click on the new BLoC option. So yeah, it's gonna ask you for a name for that BLoC, and we're gonna name that connectivity. So yeah, okay. So now that we don't have any of the counter, we're gonna go to our connectivity BLoC, and then you can see this is the basic like setup for a BLoC. We have the constructor, the initial state, and the events. So yeah, I usually like to go to the events and be like, first go to the event then go to the state, and then see how they relate in the block. I think that's the right way to like analyze a new block when you see one. So yeah, we're gonna have a subclass of this state that's gonna be called, I don't know, it can be like connectivity change, because I think connectivity has another like a stream subscription that we can like use for this. So yeah, we're gonna have an event that's gonna extend our connectivity, and we're gonna have that connectivity event. So yeah, okay, cool. We're gonna go to our connectivity block just to like inject our dependency, and then we're gonna know how we're gonna implement the stream subscription. Okay, so we're gonna have connectivity, right? Yeah, Copilot, it's like super useful to for talks and those things. So yeah, we're gonna have our connectivity dependency, and this is like one of the things I mentioned on my dependency injection block, that basically you want to like have your dependency as private, so the block actually won't expose that, and just like pass a new instance, and then assign that on the constructor like this. You go connectivity, and then it's like you go here and just assign connectivity like that. And that way you don't need to like have a new, you don't need to actually implement I don't know, maybe a protected method or something like that to actually tell the developer you're working with that you're gonna have you don't need to use the private property, the public property. So yeah, okay. So now we have the connectivity event. Let's see what connectivity exposes. Okay, so it has an on connectivity changed, like stream subscription. So we're gonna create the subscription here. That's a dependency of our block. That's why we're creating that there. Yeah. So now that we have our connectivity subscription, we're gonna go here. Basically, we're gonna create the subscription. I'm gonna remove this because it's actually connectivity. On connectivity changed, and then we're gonna listen to that, and with the result we're gonna add that result to our subscription, and it's gonna be based on the event. So yeah, okay, so the possible connectivity results are Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, Ethernet, and mobile, and none. Okay, so we want to know if it's none, it's not connected. If it's not none, it is connected. So that's gonna be like what we want to like. If it's connected, it has to be different than none. Okay. So we want to do this, and it says connectivity change. Oh yeah, we need to create the constructor for this. Okay, so right now it's we're just gonna do this. So that's going to be the only connectivity change for this. And yeah, now we're listening to our connectivity subscription, and that's basically what we're gonna like. We want to use our connectivity subscription and like have that, because our listen method on the connectivity change actually returns the script subscription. So we want to like have that. Okay, so we're gonna end up using that. And I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, so that's basically what we want to do. Okay. Now, every time the connectivity changes, we want to handle that. We're going to handle that with the event handler. We're going to go to the actual event. We can handle that in this callback, and we can also like create a private method, as you saw on the other example. But yeah, I think we're just gonna like we're just gonna emit another state, and basically that's one of the things I was gonna talk about, because we can actually have a shorter state than this, because this is like I mean, we don't need those classes, because the connectivity dependency is like really straightforward. It just like exposes the already you saw it only exposes an enum, so it's just like we can have these 3 states, and it would be like really basically the same. So we want to check the event, and if the event is connected, we want to emit the connectivity state, and we want to emit is connected. If it's not, we're gonna emit this. Yeah, that's basically what we want to do. We want to return this. So when we go to this if, with if we don't set the return here, basically it's gonna like go to the next, and it's gonna always emit disconnected. So we should be able to like do that. But yeah, that's basically what we want to do. And yeah, I think it's looking good. Yeah, I don't think we should change nothing else. This state can be like 3 classes, but it's like we don't want to like store any property on those states, so it's gonna be really simple. But if you have like a user that needs to be like stored on a variable on a state class or something like that, you should like use classes. That's basically the segmentation pattern I talked about before. So yeah, we're gonna rename this to connectivity page. And this is a pattern that we usually follow. Basically, this pattern tells us to create a page that is gonna have the dependency injection. In this case, our dependency injection is used by a BLoC with provider. There's a widget called BLoC provider that's gonna like inject our BLoC to the UI, and we want to do that right above where we use that BLoC. if you see, it's used right here. So it was declared here. So yeah, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna create the connectivity block. And then we're gonna have our connectivity instance. We're gonna create this here because we actually are not gonna use that in any other part. So yeah, just to keep that simple. And we're gonna use connectivity view. So connectivity view is gonna be where we actually use our block. So yeah, we're gonna get rid of this floating action button, and we're gonna show connectivity text. And there, our connectivity text is gonna have the actual value of the connectivity class. So we're gonna use, we can say state, and we can use the extensions that has BLoC. That's basically, we're gonna use watch, or we're gonna use select. Select is gonna you basically just pass the BLoC you want to listen to, and then it's gonna be able to like filter and just to listen to one property from that BLoC. So yeah, basically that's the same as using the other one, because we're actually using an enum here. So we can use the other one that's called watch, and watch is gonna be aware of the whole state. That's the difference between watch and select. But yeah, basically for this case, we can just use that watch. So yeah, if the state is connectivity state initial is equal to connectivity state initial, I think this state, okay, so we want to, okay, so if it's, yeah, that listens to the BLoC, but we need to access the actual state. So if we want to, if it's initial, we're just gonna show initial. And if it is connected, we're gonna return connected. Yeah. And if it's disconnected, you guessed it, we're gonna show disconnected. So yeah, these are only the three states for this. So I'm just gonna keep that simple. Oh, we're gonna, okay, so I'm gonna have just this. Okay, it's complaining because it actually needs another else. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. And we can get rid of this thing. Okay, so that's basically how we build our UI based on the connectivity BLoC state. And yeah, we're gonna run the simulator. I'm gonna add that here so we can see that. And yeah, yeah, I think that should work. Okay, we have some issues here with some exports. We should export BLoC, connectivity BLoC. Oh, okay, so it didn't create the actual folder for this. So we're gonna create our BLoC folder. I'm gonna send this here and here and here. Okay. Yeah. that's good now. Okay, so the other thing is we need to update this import with the new names. Yeah, I think it actually needs to, okay. Connectivity.dart. This is good now. Just gonna use here connectivity page, and then everything should be good now. So yeah, just gonna run this. We're gonna save each of the files. And yeah, there are some issues with the test, but yeah, it's the same. Basically, we're just gonna comment out the test for now. So we can actually have just our app. That's basically what we want to see right now. And yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go to launch development. And yeah, okay. So I'm gonna run Flutter clean probably. And what do we have here? Oh yeah, we need to I think it's dispose. No, it's has another name for block. Close. I think it's close. Let me check. Oh, I think it actually needs to. Oh yeah. Flutter pub get just to take our dependencies again. And okay. Oh, I think I need to change the. Yeah. I'm using the other one. Yeah. Really small detail. I think it's using the right Flutter version right now. That's, yeah, that happens when you haven't migrated all your projects to the new Flutter version. But yeah, I think it's close here. Yeah, it's close, and we need to close our connectivity subscription, so we don't leak any resources from our app. So yeah, now that we have that, we can go to launch development, and yeah, that should work now. Dependency problems. Okay. CocoaPods errors. We're gonna clean again just to make sure. If it and if it's still giving those issues, we're gonna use web. Okay, so let me check. We're gonna launch development again. Okay, cool. We're gonna use Chrome. I don't know if we have any questions for now while this runs. Okay, so now we have initial. That basically means our connection hasn't changed. but yeah, should be the same connection. Just I don't want to like. I was gonna block the. I cannot disconnect my Wi-Fi because I'm gonna get out of the stream, but yeah, I think we can. Let me check if we can run that on the Android phone. Probably we could. No. Can we? Okay, so we're gonna run that on Android to see if everything works good. Hopefully it does. We're gonna launch development. Okay. Okay, so the app should be compiling right now. Yeah. Cool. If you have any questions, this is a good time for them. Yeah.
Marcos, if you try on Flutter Web, you can simulate the connection lost if you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't actually use Chrome Dev tools and all of that much. So yeah, let's see if this works. If not, we're gonna use that. Cool.
In the meantime, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm a super fan about Riverpod, so but if you should convince me to pass BLoC from Riverpod, what are the advantages about this state manager in your opinion?
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to see if so connected. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So okay, the live coding went well. Yeah, I'm a Riverpod fan too. So yeah, I think actually I think both of them are great. Maybe the thing that keeps, aside from working at BGV, keeps me returning to BLoC, I think it's like actually having some needs like event transformers. You can actually change. Well, that's actually Riverpod to like compare that with BLoC. It's like kind of difficult because they're actually can work together, are not like the same tool. But yeah, I think BLoC has some really specific needs that you can use on your apps. To that's basically thanks to the Stream API. You can do the event transformers. You can like debounce events, like process events concurrently and all of that. That's some things you can do with state notifier if you go for Flutter Riverpod. Exactly. And yeah, basically that's one of the things. I think the other one can be just like testing. I think yeah, it's really more it's really easier to test. Like there's no state notifier testing package or something like that. You need to do that like really manual. So yeah, I think BLoC has some of those things, and like traceability too. I mean, you can see the actual change of the state with the with the specific block, and what's the current state, what's the next state change, and all of that. Like traceability is just like really easy with BLoC and all of that. So yeah.
Okay, we have another question from YouTube.
Okay.
Andrea Franceschini asks, is there any criteria about choosing a state management library which is based on the kind of application you are going to make?
Yeah. I think that we always say like the best state management approach, it's the one that works for your team. So yeah, I mean it can vary because we actually, well, all those like aspects I was mentioning on the talk, like being good for testing, predictable, like fast, and just like have a specific responsibility on that, because some of the state managers sometimes like try to do everything on the app, and it's like they want to handle navigation, they want to handle UI stuff. So yeah, I think you should go for one that's simple enough, and also one that makes you feel comfortable like developing your app, because we actually end up using the one that makes us more productive. And if you're more productive with like change notifier and provider, just go for that. I just think in my personal necessities, I usually need BLoC, because I want to test everything. I want to like have a really straightforward approach to like widget testing and some of the other kind of tests that can happen on an app. And I usually need to like do some modification to my events and how I like my BLoC, my business logic component specifically, not like they're related to the library. I want that component to behave in a specific way, and BLoC allows me to like process events how I like. So yeah, I think it's really really that.
I think also it depends on skill background that you have.
Yeah.
For example, for a web developer that develop always in React and want to choose a Flutter, maybe Redux it's a good approach for as a state manager. Do you agree, Marcos?
Yeah, I think actually I don't know if Redux is supported anymore. I don't know if there's any like updates. I mean, I'm not like really like up to date with Redux, but yeah, I don't see that as a recommended approach anymore. I think on the Flutter docs. But yeah, I think if you have any specific background, you're probably gonna like prefer like some reactive approach. I mean, there's people that use like reactive JS or something like that, and will probably be more comfortable with BLoC because it's based on streaming. So yeah, it actually comes up being a personal decision. I mean, a group decision if you have a team and you want to like get how they feel about the tool.
Thank you very much. So let's go.
Okay. Just wanted to trigger the change here. Okay, yeah, that's a change, and disconnected. Cool. Yeah, so basically that's the way BLoC works. And as you can see from the console, you can have the logs for the changes on each of the BLoC you have that's gonna change in some at some point. So yeah, okay, so I think this is okay. Just gonna, yeah. So basically, what's the thing we did? We actually set up a dependency for a block that's gonna be always like some kind of data source that actually tells us what to do, and we actually define a business logic that we define that based on that data, we're gonna show something to our user, and based on our connectivity, we actually show up any connection we have on our device. So yeah, that's one of the things you need to have to keep in mind for this. And yeah, I wanted to do like a streaming example, because actually BLoC works really good if you have real-time data, as it's based on real-time data too. It's based on reactivity and like the stream API and all that. So yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about BLoC. So yeah, I'm gonna share my slides again. I think they're here. Okay, cool. So live coding went well, in my opinion, and yeah, that was basically my talk. Thanks for the invitation to the event. My first time with an Italian community, and it was like really cool. And yeah, if you want to like keep in touch with me, I think I'm gonna release like a blog on this talk. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And also, if you want to check my code samples, you can go to my GitHub. If you want to like just reach out and ask a question, you can go to my Twitter. And if you're good enough with Spanish, you can go to my YouTube.
Thank you very much, Marcos. And
Thank you, Marcos.
I love your memory. I'm also fan about Rick and Morty.
Oh, cool.
So, Enzo, let's start with the quiz.
Yes. It's the time of talk quiz. There is the link. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The link is below us, I think. Okay.
Yes, but now I share the screen with the QR code. Okay.
If you have other questions, please write them in chat, and after the quiz, Marcos will answer them.
Are good questions or bad questions, Marcos?
Well, I think most of them are easy. Yeah, probably just like 2 can be tricky.
Okay.
The next time we want hard questions.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
So don't be shy. Connect to the quiz.
Yes. I put the link in the chat. Okay.
Thank you, Marcos, and congratulations for your talk. Your English is very good. You explained in a very clear way.
Cool, thanks.
Okay.
Come on, people. Mike is the first one.
I agree on what state management use will be the hardest task of the team. I agree with you. I think also Marcos.
Yeah, I think one of the of the greatest challenge. I mean, there are a lot of big challenges on apps. I think navigation is getting like really, really hard if you want to do like deep linking or something like that. But yeah, I think state management is always like a really good example of how hard an app can be.
I think that the three things very hard in Flutter, but always in each application are architecture, navigation, and also state management. There are many choices, and each one is different from the others. So it's not easy. Okay, Marco, Fede, Pier Mario, Federico, not me. Rosero, Gennarino, and Mike De Petris. Come on.
1 minute, the last minutes. Eight questions, right? Yes. Okay, come on. Are you reading?
Okay, Marcos, read you the question and the answers.
Oh, okay. I think is it gonna like show up on the screen, or
Yes,
do I need
start.
Okay.
Start.
Cool. Okay, so what are the components of any state management approach? State and UI, dependency injection and reactive components, or service locators and reactive components? Yeah, this is one of the trickiest one.
Oh.
And the answer is
the second one. Yeah.
Next question.
Okay, so when was the BLoC pattern introduced? I said that. Yeah, I said that. 2018, 2017, 2019. It was like really quick, but yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good actually.
Okay.
Yeah, 2018. Go. What are the components of a BLoC? Function state BLoC, event state notifiers, or event state and BLoC? This one's easy. Yeah.
It's easy, but
we will soon.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Actually, the first one is correct for qubit. That's like a subset of BLoC. Okay. But yeah, that's another topic.
Go.
Next one.
Can package BLoC be used in conjunction with package getit? Yes or no?
50-50.
There is maybe. Is there maybe? Ta-da!
Well, that's wrong. Yes, it can be used. I don't recommend that, but it can be used. Yeah.
Okay.
The next one.
Okay, so what package uses Flutter BLoC for dependency injection? I actually did a graph for this, so yeah. If you paid attention, provider, getit, or riverpod.
Ta-da!
Specifically Flutter BLoC, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The correct is...
Yeah, it's provider.
6.
Okay, so my BLoC provider can't find the correct BLoC on build context. What is happening? Basically, that's one of the things I mentioned for the page view pattern that I talked. Yeah, let's see. Okay, and
All correct.
all are correct. Yeah, yeah. There are many possibilities. It depends, but yeah, that's usually I think that the usual one can be yeah, the one that has actually more percentage. So it's good actually that it has.
And last one before ranking.
Yeah, this is really easy. Is it okay to leave Flutter classes in your business logic? Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Whoa.
My
Wow.
job is done. Yeah. Cool.
Before the last one, Fede?
We will see the ranking. Rosenroth is the first one with more or less 1 minute and 5 on 7 as a score. And then Natale and Pier Mario.
The last one.
The last one.
Which is not a reactive component. Change notifier, inherited widget, or BLoC. This is easy too.
Okay.
Curious.
Good.
Yeah. Nice.
And the winner?
The winner is Rosenroth. Congratulations.
Nice.
Yes, please, Rosenroth, send me your screenshot or a photo of your screen, okay? To these emails, so I will send tomorrow the license. Here is my email where to send the screenshot, okay?
Okay. Any question?
Very thanks, Marcos. This is the first international speakers guest of our community. So we are very happy to guest you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome.
Me too. I have the last question. So maybe can be is it for curiosity? How can how a person can become a Flutter developer from zero, for example? Your advice. Give us
Okay.
your advice.
With like technical background, right?
Yes.
I mean, like a web developer that wants to do Flutter or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. I think. Well, it's kind of difficult. I mean, each person has like a way to learn things. I mean, my way was to like get on a crash course, just like take one of the courses that the community recommended, and that was like my way to get my first contact with Flutter. And then it was like basically being a stalker for other developers. I like to see other developers code. So it's like I went and see like the BLoC library examples, like the examples from Very Good Ventures. I don't know, Riverpod samples too. when it was released. So yeah, I think if you want to become a Flutter developer, first you need to go with Dart, like to understand Dart really well, like how asynchronous programming works in Dart. I don't know, the basics. I think the basics are like really obvious, but yeah, other than the basics, I think asynchronous programming, it's really important. And then you can go to like the Flutter docs and go UI, then you can go to state management, then you can go to networking, and then you can go to architecture, and then like mix everything together. I think that's basically like the right way to like set up a path so you can build a cool app.
Thank you very much, Marcos, for your answer. So thank you everyone for this. Okay, thank you, Fran. And thank you everyone for listening. And thank you, Marcos. Thank you, Enzo. Enzo, Marcos, do you want to say a last thing? Special thanks to our listeners.
Yes. Thanks Marco, you all. Alla prossima, ok? Seguiteci.
Yeah, that's the same in Spanish. So yeah, I understood that. Cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It was really an honor to be like the first international speaker. So yeah, hope the community in Italy grows a lot, and yeah, keep learning and hope to be in another time with you guys.
Thank you. A day we'll see you in person here in Rome or in Italy, okay?
Yeah, totally. Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
Ciao.